Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk about airdrop summoners within Splinterlands. You guys know that we have a conflict in Splinterlands, which means that if you're participating in the conflicts, you can unlock free airdrop cards. The next one is Calamity, and after that we're going to see 6 different summoners, one from each splinter usually, or element. So they'll have a dragon, a fire, a water, an earth, a death, and a life. And that's been the traditional path forward with Splinterlands, but today I want to talk about an alternative for those summoners, and I want to speculate about what could be possible and why that would be interesting. If that sounds interesting, stick around. Otherwise, check out the next video. So again, Calamity's up next, and I'm excited about this card in a deep way, but I'm even more excited about the summoners, so much so that right now I'm trying to plan my approach to conflicts. If you understand what conflicts are, you have to manage what you're doing over here, because there's actually sort of a deteriorating asset, your mage wagons, that allow you to participate in this, and so they break when you are successful in unlocking an airdrop card. I'm going to get 5 at the end of this. If I deployed the rest of my 18 broken wagons, I would get more. Because of my card quality, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me to do so. If I had lots of big black foils or gold foil arcanes, etc., that had massive HR, collection power and then HR, then I would probably activate these wagons and get them going, but I don't. I could muster another one more guarantee if I put everything out there, but then it's a big significant cost. Here's my point. Summoners are coming. Summoners are Calamity I'm excited about. I'm way more excited about the summoners. And if you don't understand, then you weren't here when Rebellion came out, because Rebellion, Untamed, Chaos Legion, the legendary summoners are exceptional, meta redefining, and absolutely really exciting. If you enjoy this game for the entertainment value, the fun, you enjoy the play, then you want to have those sorts of cards that are really going to define the meta. And the summoners are going to fall in that category. And so what I'm saying about these wagons is that I think I need to already, knowing that about how I feel about those summoners, I need to prepare. I need to think through a strategy. So I'm not resetting all of my wagons for Calamity, but I will reset them for the summoners. That's going to be a consequential cost. I mean, it's about $5 per repair kit, but that's, in my opinion, that's worth it. Now, let's look at some of the summoners that have come before. If we just look at Rebellion first and foremost, we go summoners, we go Reg, and let's look at the legendary only. Tofu, still one of the best. Nidhogger has grown into a very strong performer. EMP as well. You know that these cards are amazing, and I think they're amazing whether you're playing in Wild, or of course they're amazing in Modern, but they're even amazing in Wild. These cards are exceptional. And when we back out and we go into, we're not Ref Washers, but Chaos Legion, the Immortalis is definitive for the Magic only rule set, even to this day. And yet there are monsters that will give, or summoners that'll give you the void armor, or that control the background with camouflage or speed first, etc., etc., etc. But man, these cards are still to this day meta defining. And then Untamed going back in further, and of course Kitty, Llama, Yoden. These cards are exceptional. And so I expect the same sort of caliber of performance or design for those that are going to come with Conclave Arcana. Here's the interesting piece that I want to speculate about. Forevermore, cards have just been associated or affiliated with a specific element or a splinter. Water, blue, fire, red, earth, green, death, black, life, white, and dragon, purple. And that is, our game is really actually deeply complicated, even with just that single distinction. But more recently, we've complicated things, or made things more sophisticated, let's say, as we move into Conclave Arcana, and we give these summoners that are, and it's a specific splinter or element, fire, Fythe's Bladestone, but it also calls on all dwarves, the Bloodline Dominion capacity. And so that Bloodline connection opens a door for a million different possibilities for all dwarves across all splinters. If you have a death dwarf, or a water dwarf, or an earth dwarf, or a life dwarf, or a dragon, they can all come under Fythe's Bladestone because it calls on dwarves. And so on, Gorgug with the orcs, and Kalia with the elves, and Bella with the Ulans, and Shang with the dragons, and Razi with the gnomes. And I've been speculating recently about what Splinterlands is going to do in order to sort of continue to grow what they've already started with these summoners. Because if you don't know, there's about 7 summoners already that exist that have that capacity. Let's look at that again. Yeah, 7. There's the 6 regular ones, and there's the Shang for the Dragon Legendary. And there will be, there will be another Dragon Legendary that'll be more complicated with a higher mana cap. So we should expect 7 right here, and then 6 more for 13. But I've pointed out already that the number of bloodlines that already exist is something like 45. I'm on my screen. You can see them just scrolling by. I counted them the other day. I think it was 40. It might have been 45, 42, something like that. Regardless, the point is, it's going to be complicated to meet every one of those. And maybe it's okay that we don't want to bring every one of those to life, as it were, because some of them don't actually have some of them have a very limited set of cards to draw upon. The cards in the screen, these are your avians. That's not a ton of options to base a summoner on, right? But remember, this summoner that you would be imagining that would partner with avians wouldn't be dependent on solely these cards. It would partner with a specific element. It could be a earth card, and then that earth Archon happens to be able to pull out the Albahu or the Celestial Harpy or the Owlkin or the Karst or the Ava Sturgis or Ravenhood, which gives it more options and is actually a really significant distinct advantage. And as these bloodlines are built out with more and more cards across future, my argument is that these bloodline summoners are actually going to be uniquely powerful. And so I believe, first of all, that the legendary summoners that are going to be airdropped will have some sort of bloodline. And I want to speculate about what that should look like. I have a unique interpretation that I'm going to share in a minute. But I want to first make the point that at least these legendary summoners from Conclave should be made using a bloodline, and maybe more beyond that, but forget about that for now. I think Conclave should, to be consistent with the rares have bloodlines, the legendary should have bloodlines. That should be a feature of this season or edition. That's my suggestion and expectation. And if it's the case that will be so, it's important to recognize that it's not just these, it's all of them, right? It's the full Splinter plus these. Or, whatever the feature, whatever the bloodline would be. If it's not avian, some of them have a lot. The Awakened Beast, not so many. The Mundane Beasts have quite a few to pull on. And so all of these would be available. That would be a powerful summoner, even if it didn't have a Splinter, let alone add to another Splinter. And so maybe that means you won't see Mundane Beast, because that would be so much more powerful than an Uland, which has 7 cards. I don't know. But here's one piece that I want to put out for you for your consideration. 2 things. One, I think the legendary should have a bloodline. It makes the game more fun. It would be consistent within the Conclave experience in that the rares offer that feature, and it's like a consistent vision for this season or moment in Splinterlands history. Even if the next mini set doesn't, even if we never do it again. It's kind of like the way we did Soulbound Summoners from the reward cards at one point, and it's like these phases we go through in development and planning. And so I think at least these legendaries should, and I think you have to imagine that it probably wouldn't be fair to have some of these ones that have like Mundane Beast probably shouldn't get covered. Or if it does, that summoner will be really exceptional. But finally, what if there were cards that were dual bloodline? Why couldn't a card be a Djinn and a dragon or something? Why couldn't a card be a human and a half elf? Or a halfling and like an elf? Whatever the lore conversation might be there, the background could be really interesting. I'm sure Nate and the people would love sort of developing that lore conversation, because it implies something, right? Like a love, across borders of maybe enemy cultures that come together in this. In one husband and wife that made the beginning of a new half race. And the reason that would be interesting and beyond lore is because it would open the door to multi-bloodlines. So one summoner or Archon would be able to pull out all Awakened Beasts, and maybe at the same time all avians. And how would that look from a play perspective? And final thought, this approach to design around Bloodline summoners seems consistent within the complexity and power growth that we've already been working at. And it seems to do a double duty in terms of actually satisfying a bit of the desire to see most of the Bloodlines covered. Because if we did 6 new Archons that are legendary airdrops and they each had 2 Bloodlines, suddenly now we've done 7 from the rares of Conclave, and 12 other Bloodlines could be touched through the legendary Archons. And so now we've done 19 instead of what will amount to 13. And so I think it's an interesting thought for consideration. I think the team would have a lot of fun with it. I think the lore, would be a lot of fun to write. I also think that that sometimes those sorts of backstories are the most interesting. I want to point to one before I move away. Yeah, the Peak Rider. The Peak Rider, I've talked about this before on the channel, but I'll say it one last time because it's similar in conversation. The Peak Rider is actually a demon, and you maybe can't tell, but he's black. He's a demon, and he's got red eyes, and he's riding an undead horse. But as you know, the armor is white and gold. It's glistening because the lore is that he like abandoned the evil side of things. Like the creature that rides the mountains of the life splinter strikes fear into the heart of every Chimean. His demon steed stands 15 feet tall and with a long, sharp horn from its forehead that makes a mockery of the sacred unicorn. The man himself, if he can be called a man, is never seen without his horse, as if the two are one. He has mighty wings, but no one has seen him use them. He carries a large horrific weapon with him. When the Peak Rider stands at the summoner's table in Mount Mox tournaments, few can stand without cowering. And so the image, this is designed by Peak Monsters Jarvie, by the way, and he told me one time that like the idea behind it was that, in fact, it's like maybe it was a demon that decided that he no longer wanted to fight for that side, that evil side. And so I love that sort of interplay on lore, and I think it would be really effective and a deeply sort of meta defining and sort of maximizing the complexity of the gameplay, which gives us more joy in playing because there's more options, more interplay, more synergies, more connections. And so I think that's worth thinking about. Double bloodline monsters, cross bloodline. Like, what would that look like? I think it could be fun. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Have an amazing day. God bless.